LPT, don't believe your partner when it comes to pronunciation. About 4 years ago, I was sitting on the couch buying some loose leaf tea online. I sort of routinely talked to myself, and as I was looking at some lavender Earl Grey, I mumbled, "Ooh, they have sachets," pronouncing it sachet undefined. I learned a lot of new words through reading, and because of that I'm not always 100% sure on the pronunciation. It's at that exact moment that my then boyfriend walked into the room. Without looking up from his phone, he says casually, "It's pronounced sachets, rhymes with hatchets," and then walks out of the room. I believed him, because well, he said it so confidently and casually. And usually if he's messing with me he breaks character. He didn't break character, so like, he must know better than me, right? Fast forward 9 months. Throughout this whole time, I haven't said this word out loud, but every time I make a cup of this tea, I think sachet rhymes with hatchet. So, we're at a gas station at 7 a.m., fueling up before driving 5 hours to visit his family. I'm half asleep making gas station tea, and boyfriend peeks over my shoulder and goes, "Oh, they have good sachets." I freeze, and say coldly, "What did you just say to me? Isn't that how you pronounce it?" asks boyfriend with a look of innocent confusion. I explain what had happened 9 months prior, and his response was, "I don't remember that, but that sounds like me," while laughing. It's been 4 years. Boyfriend is now husband, and today I learned L struggle sometimes externally with the correct pronunciation of sachet. TLD or sachet does not rhyme with hatchet, no matter what anyone says. It was the other way around for me. My BF always pronounced it kiosk instead of kiosk. I told him and he looked at me like his whole life was a lie until that point. Kiosk? That one's all on him, I'm afraid. I used to pronounce magenta as magenta like magneto because I'd never heard the word out loud and read it once when I was 6. I didn't find out until my late 20s. I have a friend who pronounces cabinet as cabinet. We had a 10-minute conversation about WTF she was talking about when she said, "Will you grab my coffee off the cabinet?" Until she finally yelled the countertop. I just sat dumbfounded, realizing she meant cabinet. Props to your guy. He sounds like a keeper. Pronounced keeper. Ha ha ha, I think he is too. And now he's going, "Yeah, I'm a keeper," while petting one of our cats. Lol, sounds a lot like me and my guy. You gotta have a little fun. Tea bag is much easier to say. There are, apparently, key differences between the two. But I mean, a sachet is also tea. In a bag. With a different shape. Tea bag is much easier to say. Sachets contain whole leaves, while tea bags contain tea dust or cut leaves. But personally at least, part of the fun of loose leaf tea is seeing the full tea leaves, which you kinda miss out on with sachets. Wait, I do pronounce it as rhyme of hatchet. Hold up, is it actually sock? I'm confused now. Actually, that would be sock, with an acute accent, not a grave. A friend consistently ends with voil, but pronounced viola. I want to strangle him. He's referencing a tiny violin. Violas are usually slightly bigger than violins. As someone who also speaks French, I have a lot of fun with things sometimes. This is a case where my brain would be right. I refuse to pronounce La Croix the way the company thinks it's pronounced, however. La Croix all the way tabernacle. Wait, how are they pronouncing it? I've been using the French pronunciation. La Croix. Yes, actually. Good grief. It's to avoid you sounding like the kind of person who goes, "Ah yes, I drank so much La Croix when I studied abroad in Barcelona." My husband and I like to point out words we've only really seen written and then hear them spoken. It's a fun game. Eminem has entered the chat, see orange explanation. Yes, such a great clip. I'm the partner in this one, except I know the proper pronunciation of oregano. I just enjoy it because I'm an ass using Marge Simpson's version. And I used it often enough that my wife mistakenly used Marge's version while ordering the bread at Subway for a work lunch. In front of her boss, she still curses at me for that one. Lol, it's pretty similar to how us Aussies pronounce it. Today I learned what a sachet is and how to pronounce it. French boy here. The real pronunciation is sock, with a mute T and a stressed short E. English speakers tend to elongate the last syllables of French words, and that's when you get uncovered lol. Like in s'il vous plaît. Croissant, croissant. And so on. Okay, someone help me with foyer. I say foyer. Is that wrong? Foyer is how I was taught to. It's a small thing, but the accent mark you're looking for is not. Totally different pronunciations in French. so to spell it sort of phonetically it should be sock. Gives you the A sound you're looking for. But more importantly, yes, the word did come to us from French, so it is a French pronunciation. Dude, I was thinking the exact same thing with the accent mark. It was bugging me. Looked like a French word, and in French, it would be pronounced sachet. Sachet away. How is it actually pronounced? Sake. Come to Australia and you'll get sachet and sachet depending on what suburb you're in. Where in Australia is this relevant? I've only ever heard the shay in Melbourne. QLD, heard it in Melbourne too. As a bilingual person, I do this so often, considering that in my second language, we pronounce every letter in words. So words like quinoa throw me off so hard. I dunno anymore ha. Quinoa throws everyone off. I don't know if this is true everywhere, but in my part of the world it's considered kind of pretentious to have quinoa as an alternative to more common things. An old boss of mine was the typical pretentious, posh food type, and it gave me great pleasure to hear her describe the quinoa salad she had bought that day. I don't judge people for mispronouncing something per se, but you'd think if you make a habit of eating something uncommon and remarkable that you'd be blooming sure to pronounce it right. Tepa. Haha, my so pronounced voucher is Voek for the longest time, over 10 years. Until I corrected her, she was flabbergasted by it, works in retail and uses the word almost on a daily basis. Fast forward few months later and her father pronounces it the same way. I thought I was the only one. Except it's the other way for me. I used to always say sachets pronounced like hatchets. My hubby corrected me and I was morto. 30 years saying it wrong, Christ. Huh. I don't think I've ever said or heard sachets out loud. It has the same French origin as satchel, relating to a diminutive sack bag. So I probably would have been influenced by that and gone for sachets if I didn't take a moment to think about it. Interesting that one preserves the French pronunciation with just / and the other anglicized it with /t/. Wonder if that's because satchel is a much more common word and sachets is a more highbrow word? This matches my logic for pronouncing it sachet. Also, sachet is a dance move. Each word deserves its own pronunciation. My sister, at 23 years old, talked to me about how she marked our father who passed a very long time ago as deceased on a legal document. I stared at her like she had 3 heads. You mean deceased? Deceased Street. She glared at me so hard and said there was no reason to make fun of her while mentioning such a serious matter. I was just seriously concerned that my grown-ass older sister was going around saying deceased to people looking ridiculous. Sue me. I did not know that was how that was pronounced either. It's not. I don't know why you get downvoted for saying the truth. Well, I have been pronouncing this wrong in my head the entire time. You know, I've heard Aussies pronounce fillets as fillets, so it wouldn't surprise me if there are people walking around making sachet rhyme with hatchet. Actually, this is the norm in the UK and Ireland too. Could it be America is the outlier? I'm in the UK and I say fillet for the verb and for a fillet of fish, but fillet for the steak. Not that I have to use the word often in any form since I'm veggie. One time I was at an Italian food place in the south and I wanted bruschetta. I thought long and hard about if I should say it like Giada and pronounce the C so it would sound like bruschetta. I committed to this idea and said it and the southern server looked at me like WTF and was like, you mean bruschetta? Hopefully you can hear how it sounded. I still stand by my pronunciation choice, but I was so embarrassed. Italian here. Just so you know, both pronunciation are laughed at here in Italy. In Italian is pronounced bruschetta. Just as a good rule of thumb, in Italian ch sounds exactly like a hard K. Chimera? Camara. Scherzo? Scherzo. Haha, I did the same thing accidentally to my wife. My mother mispronounces words all the time, and used to say edamame like edamame, normally pronounced edamame if you don't know, which I always found funny, so I said it like that. Our story starts in the dating phase with my wife and seeing some edamame at a restaurant and saying it like that. Never realized she picked up on it. Cue her coming home long after we married and the first thing she says is, I hate you. I ask why and she tells me that she went out with friends for sushi and heard one of her friends order some edamame. She then proceeded to try and correct their pronunciation, which caused them all to look at her like she was crazy. It's been 3 years and she still won't believe anything I pronounce if she hasn't heard it elsewhere or confirmed it on Audible file. Worth it. I would be concerned if he's able to lie so easily. Be wary of him up. Facade. Yeah, it's not fakeade. Wait, I always thought the correct pronunciation was the one that rhymed with hatchet. Did he genuinely not realize, or was it a wind-up? Me and my husband mispronounce stuff on purpose to each other, but we both know we're joking. Like yesterday he said I'm having vegetables for tea and pronounced it with a French accent, and I said no, it's pronounced vegetables, and he laughed. We mispronounce Pinot Grigio, champagne, touche, and anything else we can think of. So glad you were able to bury the hatch with your boyfriend over this issue. My dad told my mum that Sean Bean was pronounced like Scene Bin, so it rhymes. She got really pissed off when she mentioned him at work one day and got laughed at. My story is different and a tiny bit mean, but I was talking to my boyfriend, who is a Korean immigrant to the US but has lived here for going on 15 years and speaks very good English, about what groceries we should buy. And I said, oh, I'm really craving Hot Pockets for some reason. You should pick those up when you go. He was distractedly making the list and responded, okay, cool. You want, are they called? I looked him dead in the eye and said, I want the ham and chest pot hockets. He stared at me and said, pot hockets? Yes, pot hockets. He went to the store later and asked someone where the pot hockets were. They corrected him. I felt a little bad, but we both laugh about it all the time now. Congratulations that he made it to husband level. However, that's more of a /r/tifu than a LPT. The tip instead would be, please learn the pronunciations of words. I thought it did rhyme with hatchets. I'm going to stick with that even if it's wrong. Washington. Go ahead. Say it. We have flipping dictionaries all over my damn house because of regional idiosyncrasies. Oh, and let any English pronunciation enter buffet. Like sachet. No? Yes, unless you're not from the US. Just talk, it's a damn free for all going on. Buffet and sachet are two French words and are pronounced the same, at least in French. It changes depending on the country, like in English. Weird.